It's not really a hard concept to get a grasp on. The fact is that healing is your responsibility. Yes, your childhood trauma may explain many of the struggles that you've carried into adulthood, but it cannot become some sort of lifelong permission slip to excuse the choices that you make as an adult. The people who raised you had an enormous influence on your life and over your development. If you were neglected and abused or overly criticized, maybe you were abandoned or just simply forced to grow up too fast, those experiences have left some very real wounds on your life. They've shaped the way that you see yourself and how you are able to relate to other people. It shaped how your nervous system learned to protect you, learned about safety, love, and trust. None of that was your fault. Children don't get to choose the environments that they grow up in, so they shouldn't be blamed for just simply surviving it the best way that they knew how. But as adults, we gain agency, and that's something that children don't have. We have the ability as adults to question the beliefs that we grew up with. We have the ability to use the resources to seek help, learn healthier coping skills, and choose different patterns for our lives. While we don't have the ability to go back in time and change what happened to us, we definitely have the opportunity to make sure that we change what happens next. And too many people spend decades pointing to their childhood every time that they make a destructive choice in their life. They blame their parents for their failed relationships. They blame grandparents and tradition for their angry outbursts and broken promises and unhealthy habits. They blame the way they grew up as children for their refusal to grow up. And at some point, those explanations start to turn into excuses. Yes, the trauma explains your behavior, but it doesn't absolve you of the responsibility to address your behavior. And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, well, that's not fair. I didn't ask to carry those wounds as a child. No, you didn't ask to carry those wounds. You shouldn't have been hurt in the first place. But healing has never been about fairness. It's about you refusing to allow what happened to you yesterday to steal from your today. And the moment that you recognize your childhood shaped uh, who you are, is the moment that you need to start making the decision to do something different, do something better. You're either going to keep going down the road that you've inherited, or you're going to make the difficult decision of making the change. That work is not fair, and it's probably going to be hard. It's a long process. You're going to need therapy. You are going to have to do a lot of self reflection. You are going to have to take accountability and start learning the emotional skills that you were never taught in your childhood. And no, it's not going to be easy, but it's absolutely possible to do. Taking responsibility for your healing also doesn't mean that you are simply letting the people who caused you harm off the hook. Yes, they are still responsible for what they did. Accountability doesn't disappear simply because you decided to move on from it. It just means that you refuse to continue to give them power over controlling your life. There comes a point where your parents are responsible for your childhood, but you are responsible for your adulthood. And one of the greatest acts of defiance isn't spending your life blaming the people who wounded you. It's becoming someone that your wounds never convinced you it was possible. Because your trauma may be a part of your story, but it does not have to be the end of it.
Can't dream myself